We are living through an era of profound psychological exhaustion. It goes beyond the standard pressures of a busy week. It is the cumulative weight of being expected to care 24/7 about global news cycles, about social optics, and the shifting demands of a hyper-connected society. Our reflex is to fix this exhaustion by seizing more control. We turn to micromanagement and hyperproductivity, building elaborate systems to track every minute of our lives in hopes that the world will finally begin to cooperate. This strategy is doomed by the sheer scale of the attempt. You are a single person trying to regulate an infinite number of unpredictable external variables. The system overloads because the energy required to maintain it exceeds what any human can provide. We possess more labor-saving technology than any generation in history, yet we are reporting unprecedented levels of fatigue. Our tools have solved the problems of physical labor, but they have left us emotionally drained. Modern burnout stems from a systemic malfunction in how we deploy our attention. We are pouring our limited mental energy into a void, expecting a sense of security that external things can never actually provide. To understand how to stop this strain, we have to leave the noise of the modern world and go back to the year 167. The Emperor Marcus Aurelius sat at the peak of absolute power, yet he spent his private moments writing the Meditations, a journal focused entirely on maintaining his internal resilience against the chaos of the Roman Empire. While the emperor wrote in his palace, a man named Epictetus taught the same principles in the streets. He had started his life as a slave, but he arrived at the same psychological framework as the most powerful man on earth. These two figures, from opposite ends of the social hierarchy, identified the mechanics of burnout nearly 2 millennia before it became a modern epidemic. The Stoics realized that we suffer because we are engaged in a constant, losing war against reality. They proposed a radical change in strategy. Stop trying to conquer the world and start mastering the mind. In the first book of his Discourses, Epictetus introduces the foundational logic of this strategy. It is called the Dichotomy of Control. This principle creates a rigid logical border that divides all of existence into two absolute categories. Everything on the right belongs to the realm of the uncontrollable. This includes the economy, your career trajectory, and how other people perceive you. These are variables that shift regardless of your wishes. The left side is a restricted territory Epictetus calls our power. It contains only a few things: your own reason, your choices, and your reactions to what happens. Respecting this specific boundary is the starting point for human agency. When you fail to see where your jurisdiction ends, you effectively surrender your well-being to a world that does not care about you. Most of us spend our days bleeding energy into that right-hand column, obsessing over outcomes that we can influence but never fully command. The Stoics called these external events appearances. Their advice was clinical. Learn to view these events with emotional indifference, seeing them as separate from your internal self. Anxiety is born in the moment your mind crosses the boundary and demands that the external world conform to your internal desires. Burnout is the predictable outcome of this error. You are trading your limited emotional capital for control over external phantoms, and the transaction leaves you bankrupt every time. When you stop projecting your energy outward, your focus recoils. It concentrates entirely within the internal boundary when you actually have authority. This shift creates a state the Stoics called tranquility. Far from being a passive or numb state, it is an active, sharp concentration of your mental resources. This internal focus provides the ultimate prize, a mind that is no longer vulnerable to external fluctuations, because its stability is generated from within. This framework is not a promise of a perfect life. You will still face hardship, loss, and difficult circumstances. The true promise of Stoicism is the capacity to struggle with those circumstances without being psychologically compromised by them. The world will continue to be chaotic, markets will crash, and society will struggle. You can choose to place all of that noise outside your jurisdiction. Resolving modern burnout requires building a more resilient boundary. It demands a return to the quiet, unshakable sovereignty of your own mind.